It's important to know when you refer a VoIP provider if that provider will travel on site to meet your customer. Early in the process, we find that many clients want face-to-face meetings in order to ask questions and get the right answers, in order to see an on-site demonstrations of the phone hardware and software live so that they get a really good experience before they're ready to move forward. Additionally, it's important to know if that VoIP provider is going to actually install the IP phones and other hardware on-site at your customer's premises, and also come on-site to train the end-user staff on all the tools related to the phones, the desktop software, the mobile software. So before you refer a VoIP provider, it's very important to know if they're actually going to travel on-site to meet with your customer. And no one would know your customer's personality better than you. So at times, it just might be a better experience for your customer for a face-to-face visit as opposed to a fully remote relationship. In our experience, if your customer has between 10 to 100 phones, that they might actually not be large enough to meet with another provider face-to-face. As we all know, there's many providers in the market, and if your customer has less than 100 phones, it might be very difficult to get the provider to travel on site for sales, installation, account management, and any service-related issues moving forward. So just be aware of that before you refer the VoIP provider. So when your customer is ready to upgrade to a VoIP phone system, naturally there's going to be some hardware installed in your client's network. In our experience, we've worked with the following types. The first is a PEP-Link Balance firewall. It's very important that your customer gets a dedicated firewall for their VoIP phone system so that the VoIP provider can remotely diagnose any issues, can log in and troubleshoot the IP phones on the network, and also, and most importantly, that the VoIP provider can't log onto your firewall and have access, because only you should have complete control over that. So in our experience, it's very important to get a PEP-Link Balance firewall in order for the VoIP provider to assume full responsibility for the performance of the VoIP phone system. Additionally, a network power over Ethernet switch may be installed on site in order to power the IP phones if there's Cat5e wiring at the customer's telephone closet. Naturally, there's IP phones. So IP phones are simply devices on the network just as computers are, so they will be installed on the network just like any network device. In certain situations, your customer might need a FiBridge appliance, which reuses Cat3 Ethernet wiring in order to separate the phone and computer networks. So if your customer has old wiring infrastructure and the cost for installing new wiring is just simply too much, a FiBridge appliance is a really good solution to reuse Cat3 Ethernet wiring that converts into IP signaling. And last, depending on your client's size, if they're typically a scaled company and multi-site, they might want to invest in an SD-WAN appliance, which is an on-site appliance for internet optimization and guarantee of call quality over public internet. This is becoming a very popular technology to replace MPLS T1 circuits in multi-site office environments. In certain situations, your customer might need analog adapters installed on site. The purpose of these analog adapters is to reuse potentially paging horns, to reuse fax machines, to reuse front door mates. So depending on your client's needs and exact hardware requirements, those appliances might also need to be installed on site. So when you refer a VoIP provider, naturally you want to look good and make sure your image and reputation are protected. In our experience, there's two components of this that are very important. First is project management. After the customer agrees to move forward, which is post-sale, to the pre-installation, in between you have the project management process, which is really critical to the success of a VoIP phone system installation. In the project management process, the customer's needs will be met as far as programming, call flows, auto attendant, and any recommendations needed to get the full performance of the phone system. Additionally, in the project management process, any proactive communications should be done very efficiently and proactively with the customer. So if there's any porting dates that are changed, any installation updates that are changed, or any network requirements that are needed in the project management process between the customer and you, the IT provider, everyone should be on the same page so that the project actually goes successfully. So whenever there's any issues, the VoIP provider should never throw you under the bus, make you look foolish in front of your customer, and the VoIP provider should be tightly aligned with you as the IT MSP provider, that if there's any issues to do, that they're done on the back end, and that the end user client just knows the issue is resolved and it reflects well on your image and your brand with the customer. So unfortunately, in life and in business, things can go wrong. Whether there's mixed client expectations, the VoIP phone system is performing poorly, there's bad audio quality, whatever the reason is, if the customer is upset and is having a bad experience, it's critical that the VoIP provider reacts extremely quickly and extremely proactively with the client. And if that requires a face-to-face meeting for non-technical account management, then that's what is needed. If there is technical issues, the VoIP provider should be able and willing to come on site to troubleshoot any issues, to give face time to the client in addition to correcting the technical issue. And also, if there's any issues whatsoever, that the VoIP provider is aligned with you as the IT provider, so that way the customer knows that you're a joint team working together on the issue and there's no finger pointing whatsoever to correct the problem. Now, if things go really south and the relationship can't be repaired, the customer is just extremely livid, and if it's unsolvable, then it's really important to know that your customer signed a contract with a VoIP provider. So in our experience, if your customer signed a 24-month, 36-month, 48-month, or even 60-month contract, it's virtually impossible to get out of those contracts without paying tens of thousands of dollars in early termination fees. So the reason I'm bringing this up to you is before the customer signs the VoIP service agreement, you should inquire on behalf of your customer, what if things go wrong and your customer wants to move in a different direction and wants to migrate to another provider? So before the customer signs the agreement, there should also be an agreed upon clause of how to get out of this contract and what is the financial penalty, if any, to get out of the contract. And that's very important to do before it's too late.